Hey everyone, this is Nick from Cameta Camera, and I am here today to talk to you about the brand new, just announced Canon EOS R mirrorless system. Now this is a completely new mirrorless system. As you know, Canon has the EOS M system, and those are with crop sensor cameras. This is a full-frame mirrorless system, and it has a completely new mount. This is the RF lens mount, and this is different from the EF mount in that it has the same diameter, but it has different characteristics. Number one, because this is a mirrorless body, it has a shorter flange distance. It used to be 44 millimeters, now it's down to 20. So that gives you more flexibility in terms of lens design. It gives you better optical performance, especially at the corners and at the edges. So Canon will be able to produce lots of new lenses that will take advantage of this design of this mount. And also it has these 12 points of contact here, so you have more information going between lens and camera, and that gives you better autofocus capabilities, image stabilization, and it can take advantage of any future developments that Canon designs into their new lenses. So this is the first full-frame mount that's been introduced by Canon since 1987, which is when the EF mount was first introduced. So this is sort of revolutionary in that they haven't introduced a new full-frame mount in a very long time. So we're looking forward to lots of new lens designs, new lenses, of course, new glass, and new cameras, of course, including what we have here, the brand new, very first one in the series, the EOS R. Now, just before we get into this, we should say that DSLRs are just as viable as they ever were, and mirrorless cameras are sort of, in terms of Canon, it's an extension of their product line for people who prefer to use mirrorless and want to take advantage of the benefits that mirrorless offers. But Canon's DSLRs and their EF lenses will certainly be around for a long time. Now, this camera has been compared by some to the 5D Mark IV, primarily because it has the same resolution. It comes with 30.4 megapixels. Some of the other similarities between the two cameras are, of course, it has the same size sensor. It's a full-frame sensor. It has 4K video at 30 frames per second, although you get 10-bit with the EOS R compared to 8-bit on the Mark IV. It has the same ISO range. It has weather sealing. It has nice professional features such as a microphone port and a headphone port, which is always nice for video work. But beyond that, that's pretty much where the similarities end. Of course, this being a mirrorless camera, it's much smaller. It weighs about 300 grams less, so it's more portable. The 5D does have some advantages over this. It does have higher battery life, of course, because it's not utilizing an electronic viewfinder. It uses an optical viewfinder, so you get better battery life. And the 5D has dual card slots. This one only has the one, but this does have a bigger buffer, so we'll get into that in just a minute. So at a more affordable price, the EOS R starts at $22.99. This will give you lots of features that aren't available in the 5D Mark IV. Now, number one is autofocus capability. This uses Canon's dual pixel autofocus, so that gives you really, really fast autofocus with a ton of manually selectable points, over 5,600 points. So no matter where you are in the frame, you'll be able to achieve autofocus on pretty much any subject. And this also has an updated image processor. This has the Digic 8 processor. The 5D Mark IV had the Digic 6 Plus. So the Digic 8 was introduced earlier this year, and that should give you better video capabilities as well as image processing capabilities. Now, as I mentioned before, this does have a bigger buffer. This allows you to take up to 47 images at once on a UHS 2 card. So that's pretty substantial, up from about 20 on the Mark IV. And this also has a wider autofocus detection range, so you can use this in really, really low light. Assuming you're using like an f1.2 lens, which will be available, of course, you can focus down in some really, really low light. And it has Bluetooth, so in addition to Wi-Fi, you get Bluetooth, so you have an always-on connection. Now, as far as physical features go, the most obvious thing when you're switching to a mirrorless camera is the electronic viewfinder versus the optical. Now, this is an OLED viewfinder, and when you're using it, it really has absolutely no lag at all. So that's something that is really nice and a big upgrade from some of the mirrorless cameras of days gone by. You also have a dot matrix LCD screen here on the top, and that gives you the ability to display lots more than the old style LCDs used to. So this is really nice, and it's highly visible, so you can see it in almost any light. Another notable feature is this multifunction bar, and this is touch sensitive, so you can actually tap it on the left, tap it on the right, or swipe either way, and every one of those motions is customizable. So for example, when I shoot in aperture priority mode and I've got my shutter speed automatic, I can set this to change my ISO to whatever I want. If I tap it on the left, it'll switch it to auto. If I tap it on the right, it'll switch it to base ISO, which would be 100, and then I can swipe left and right to quickly change my ISO settings. So that's a pretty cool thing, and of course it's completely customizable. And then with mirrorless, you get silent shutter, which is really nice. And of course, physically speaking, it's smaller and lighter. So you can get similar lenses that will weigh about the same. And of course, you will have a smaller body that is easier to carry and easier to hold. Although some people of course prefer DSLR grips, but for people who prefer mirrorless, this one does have a very nice body. It feels really good in your hand. Your finger doesn't slip off the bottom. Of course, that depends on the size of your hands, but all in all, it's a very comfortable camera to hold. And one other physical thing I should mention is that when you turn off the camera, your sensor will be protected by the shutter curtain. Now, some may say, well, what if the shutter curtain gets damaged? I don't know. What's worse, the sensor or the shutter curtain? I couldn't really say. But at least you won't have to worry about, when you're changing lenses, dust and other contaminants getting on your image sensor, so you don't have to have it cleaned as much, which is definitely a benefit. So just make sure you don't poke the inside of your camera body. Now, as far as lenses go, Canon is introducing 4 new lenses in 2018, and the first one we can talk about is this 24 to 105 f4, and this is an IS lens, so it's image stabilized, and it's an L series lens, so you know it's really good quality. This lens will be bundled with the camera. Of course, you can get it body only, but it will also be available with a bundle. And this is, of course, your nice all-in-one lens, goes everything from wide angle all the way to past your portrait length. So this is a really handy lens to have. And the optics are, of course, really well designed, this being an L series lens. And one of the other things that's really cool about the new RF mount lenses is that they all have a control ring on the top. And this goes no matter what lens is introduced, all the way from the cheapest to the most expensive. They all have a control ring that's customizable, and that can be used to adjust shutter speed, ISO, aperture, whatever setting you want, and it makes things a lot more intuitive. You don't have to go through menus or anything like that. You can just do that. And I did forget to mention one thing on the EOS R camera body that is a welcome change from the Mark IV. You get a nice flippy LCD screen. And this is a touch screen, of course, so you can navigate through your menus and you can change settings and you can pinpoint autofocus by using your finger. But just having a screen like this makes this camera a really good choice for vloggers or anybody who's doing any kind of concert photography, special event photography, where you want to be able to aim high or aim low, or if you just want to get video from different angles. It really is a big benefit. Now, in addition to the 24 to 105 f4, there's going to be 3 other lenses available for the RF mount this year. There's going to be a 35mm 1.8 macro lens, and that is going to be the cheapest of the lenses at $499. There's also going to be a 50mm 1.2, so you get incredible depth of field on that, and you can focus in some really, really low lighting conditions. And then there is a 28 to 70 f2. And that lens is the biggest of the bunch and the most expensive, but it's also the most versatile. And for a zoom lens of that focal range, it gives you really, really incredible depth of field and speed at f2, at a maximum aperture of f2. So that's a pretty cool lens. All of these will be available by the end of the year. In addition to the 24 to 105, which is bundled with the camera, although it comes out on its own in December, the 50mm will be available upon launch, and that will be in late October. And the other 2 lenses, the 35mm and the 28 to 70, those will be available in December. Now, if you have a big collection of EF lenses at your disposal, you don't have to get rid of those lenses. You can still use them, and you can still take advantage of all of the benefits that they offer. The EF lenses are compatible with the EOS R, except you just have to use an adapter, and the adapters, thankfully, are pretty affordable. So, for example, we'll take off this RF series lens. We have the standard mount adapter. This goes from EF to EOS R, and this one is just $100. But it's more than just a mechanical linkage. It does have all of the pins on there, so that way you can electronically communicate your lens with your camera. And of course that just fits right on there. And then you can fit any lens onto your new EOS R camera body. I've got a 70-200 f4 here, and that fits on just fine. And all of the autofocus capability that you get with your existing EF lenses, as well as IS capability, everything like that is all going to work just fine with your EOS R camera with virtually no compatibility issues. So all of your old lenses will work with your new camera. And that includes EFS lenses. So if you've got some EFS lenses for your crop sensor bodies, you can use those as well. This is an 18-135, and that's compatible as well. Now, the other adapters that are available, I have one of them here with me. This one has a little control ring. This one is going to be available for $199. And I'll just put the 70-200 on here. And I'll just turn it this way. You can see that it has a control ring much like the RF lenses. And this allows you to have that same functionality that the RF lenses give you. So you can change aperture, you can change ISO, you can change shutter speed, whatever you want to customize that for, you can do that. So that's a really nice little touch that Canon added so that you can have that additional functionality with your older lenses. And there will be two other adapters available. One is going to have a circular polarizer built in, and one of them has a variable neutral density filter built in, and those are $299 and $399 respectively. So you get lots of different choices. You can go from the cheapest $99 adapter all the way up to a $399 adapter. I personally like the control ring one the best, but that's really up to you and your budget. So there it is. That's your introduction to the Canon EOS R system, as well as the RF lenses. Now, the body only, as well as the bundle with the 24-105, will both be available in October, and of course you can pre-order them now at Cameta.com. You can also pre-order the lenses themselves, the 24-105, the 35mm, and the 28-70 f2. Those will be available in December, but you can pre-order them now at Cameta.com. And the 50mm 1.2, you can pre-order that now, and that will be ready to ship in October. And if you can't wait until late October or December to get your lenses, well, you can still shoot with EF lenses. All you need to have is an EF adapter, and those will be available at launch starting at $99. So there it is, the Canon EOS R, along with the 24-105 and the other three lenses, which will all be available soon. Pre-order them all right now at Cameta.com.